what are you seeing that's causing the most wow with your customers, either based on the data that you have from ALN apartment data, or as you've been interacting with your customers? What technology is really bringing that wow?
Right. So I think for me, as an outside kind of perspective at this point, I'm no longer on site, but I was on site for almost 20 years. So for me, I see it as more of a tiered system when you're talking about the level of tech that you're going to want in a home. I spent a good portion of my time in multifamily in the affordable sector. So when you're talking about things that you can incorporate into that demographic and into that style of home, you're looking at things such as your thermostats, things like community broadband Wi-Fi, LED lights, things that are pretty simple that make a huge impact to that low income resident and honestly to yourself too. So if you're protecting yourself with those things, you're also protecting them from higher bills and things of that nature when they're already in low income statuses, right? So water monitoring, things of that nature to make sure their bills and your expenses are in line. So when you take all of those things, those are things that everybody wants. So you can take that and you can kick that up a notch to your BC properties, your next level, right? So you want all of this in package one. And we also want to upgrade that into package two. So in your more medium packages, you're going to want the doors. You're going to want to be able to function and get through like you'd be walking through a hotel, right? You want to use your phone to get into your apartment. You want an intercom. We're of an era where, not only do we not answer the phone, we don't answer the door, we're not even answering the outside door to the property unless we know who it is. This is also the group of renters that are going to want to start looking at your package solutions and not just lockers. In a sense, they're going to want to know when the package is there. They're tracking it, right? We can see it on Amazon. We know it's getting close. So when is it at my apartment home and where can I find it? The smart smoke alarms is a thing that they're going to want to start thinking about here. And your camera monitoring is going to be a big deal here as well. That's where they're going to want to start seeing, we don't ever preach safety, right? But we want to be able to tell them, yeah, hey, they want to see the cameras in the hallways. They want to see the cameras that are in the parking lots. And they also want to know how and when that's being monitored. So that's kind of your mid-level package. So again, you're taking package one, package two. Now we're going to throw on the class A stuff. We're going to ticket items that maybe if you're building more higher end, newer communities, you could start to think about, which would be things like ovens with air fryers in them, things that are going to make people have less things in their home. Obviously, being able to connect all of those things and everything that we've talked about is going to come into play at this point. So having a platform that connects all your smart devices is going to be very important to this crowd. Things like video doorbells, 24-hour chat. This is where your customer service level kind of really kicks up a notch. And they're going to expect everything to work all the time as well. So having that 24-hour access to chat with someone so they have the knowledge that somebody's going to get that first thing in the morning is going to be extremely important to them. And again, the biggest thing here for them is having that one platform that encompasses all the tech that we just talked about in all three of those packages. And anything that you can get in the home that eliminates them from having to have one more item.
Okay, so Tammy covered a whole bunch of things there, and I definitely want us to, as each of you have brought some of the things, if you have some things that overlap with them, please share, particularly as you've seen it applied, particularly as you're looking at the different market bands. We'll spend a little bit of time later, comparing and contrasting between new construction and also retrofit. But Krista, what are some of the things that stand out to you that you've seen in technology that delivers the wow in unit?
So, my focus is on the leasing side. So Tammy spoke a lot about what residents want and need. And yes, there are a lot, and they expect a lot too. But from a leasing standpoint, you do have to start thinking about the efficiency of the leasing agents, the ones that are on site. or even shift to that centralized leasing model that some are moving towards, where they're going to have potted people and not have them in office available for them to tour. So self-guided touring is one of the biggest wows in terms of a prospect looking to lease and looking to have that in-person feeling. Touring is the buying stage of leasing. If you think about you going and shopping, the actual click purchase button is at the tour stage. So it's vital to look at that. And RealPage did a survey of 36,000 units. I don't know if it's on the next slide or not. We can skip to it.
Yeah.
Where we documented the office hours of the shopping experience, or that shopping window of the leasing cycle. And an astonishing 6% were actually open Monday through Sunday, which is, that's overworking the leasing team if you ask me, but hey, maybe it works for them. That means that they are closed 65% of shopping hours, even with that longer hour time of, Monday through Sunday, 8 to 5. And then the next, team that decides to close Sunday, full Saturday hours, Monday through Saturday, 8 to 5, they're closed another 70% of the shopping hours outside of that window or even during that time. Think of that centralized leasing model, right? Now, those that are closed all weekend long, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, are their only options for touring. They are closed 75% of those shopping hours. So extending those hours is a huge opportunity from a leasing standpoint, and making sure that that tech is already built in-home or retrofitted for a 1 unit or 2 unit smart locks when it comes to leasing.
Fantastic. Other thoughts? I know you have another slide about making the homes smarter.
Well, yeah, so RealPage does offer software, Stratus IoT. I think they might be a top competitor of Interpret. But we have a great ebook online, and you guys can definitely look this up, realpage.com, and look at smart homes, where there's 6 ways to make your building smarter. And I spoke about the first 3, which is, self-guided touring and smart locks, smart access, even those Wi-Fi enabled buildings. But then there's another 3 that really speak to that resident. And this is where Tammy was speaking about the different classes. People want to save money. So through smart energy, smart waste, smart water, you can really make an impact when it comes to building that into your units as you build.
Well, fantastic. Brad, what does your research show to complement this and other additional technology that can really deliver the wow when it comes to in-suite technology?
Sure. So you raise an important point, and for me, it's like, well, wow to who, right? Mm-hmm. Because there's wow. We may assume that that's wow to the potential resident, but there's wow to the owners and the property managers too, right? So you can kind of think of wow in both ways. I don't want to overcomplicate it, but we kind of segment property managers and owners according to what their wows are. And we segment consumers according to what their wows are. You would expect a marketing person to do that, because everybody's love language is not the same.
Sure, right? I think that's probably represented in our audience here as well. So
yeah,
I'm
sure.
glad
so,
to do that differentiation.
Yeah, if you're talking to an asset manager versus a property manager on the owner side, they have very different operational KPIs,
yes.
right? And if you're talking to consumers, we have a segmentation model we call the savers. Well, to your point, they're all about energy savings, time savings, convenience. But then we have the socials, and they're all about wowing their friends and neighbors. Mm-hmm. And they want smart lighting, and they want entertainment. And of course, you can't be all things to all people, but you can start to think in a much more nuanced and sophisticated way about how do I appeal to all of these wow needs. Now, last summer, AE Ventures did a round of multifamily research and asked questions about the current level of amenities and units versus the future ones. And it's not surprising that what we saw in that survey, and I think the data is probably available to attendees, is that it's not surprising that the most commonly installed things for WOW are things like, structured wiring and efficiency and energy and even air quality, right? And then kind of loosely smart home systems. And so those are wows for operators more than anything. Now, there are selling messages, and certainly air quality has become a really strong selling message in recent years. And, the promise of, MERV 13 filtration systems and all of that, it means a lot to consumers. But then at the very bottom of the list are the things that are more expensive, right? There are things like entertainment and flat screen TVs and robust smart lighting packages. Well, if you flip all of that upside down, you really start to see on low band properties, right, the wows are really going to be for operators. So smart access control, smart thermostats, it's the ante to play the game. We found that most consumers don't view smart locks and thermostats as benefits for them, interestingly enough. They think that they're for operators. And there are convenience benefits for them, but they really believe that those devices are for operators. So they don't get a lot of wow out of it, personally. When I think of wow for tenants, I think of things that have a user experience that's delightful, that impresses their friends and things like that. So if I think about wow just as a filter for things, not practicality or savings or anything, I think of things like smart lighting. Consumers get excited about smart lighting. You know, when things come on and they go off and they can schedule them and they can do it from their bed, you know, and all that kind of stuff. That's wow to them. And a lot of smart lighting can be achieved relatively simply with smart switches and things. They're going to put LEDs anyway in. You know, the door locks, thermostat, smart lighting are kind of the lowest layer, I think, of creating a nice experience for consumers. As you move up the bands, you start layering on security. Tammy mentioned kind of security use cases. Cameras. Now, no one wants a camera inside the unit. Don't ever do it. Ever. Just write it 3 times on the board. Don't ever do it. But they do like, and in the appropriate architecture of the building, they like to know that, one, that there are external cameras on the property. They like to know if they have a rear-facing patio, especially on a ground floor. They really like outdoor cameras to safeguard, you know, their exposure there. They like video doorbells. Now, again, it depends on the architecture. There's been big issues about video doorbells, you know, kind of, you know, spying on neighbors coming and going and things like that. So, you know, you have to be careful about the line of view, the line of sight, and all of that kind of thing. But security use case has always been really strong, even in multifamily. As you move on up the tier, you know, things that are more expensive, smart shades and blinds. They cause a lot of wow. Now, they're a little bit more expensive, but consumers get really excited about just laying in their bed, they can open up their blinds, especially if they're in a property with a view, right? And that they can automatically go up and down with the lighting. And I won't take any more time, but as you layer up, you know, integrating smart entertainment with the smart home on the higher end, like in a Control4 integration or a much more sophisticated, unified experience, is important. Smart appliances really need to come into the conversation because more and more consumers are discovering the value of smart appliances almost accidentally. We've long realized that they're all going to become connected by default. Consumers right now aren't necessarily buying smart appliances because they're smart. They're buying them because they look great or whatever. But now they're discovering, especially with work at home, oh, well, this is cool. I can preheat my oven while I'm still working. I can turn on the clothes dryer another cycle. I can run the dishwasher. And now they're like, I'm in the middle of focus groups right now around some of these issues, and it's amazing to hear them say, I had no idea it could do that, and now I'm really excited. So,
yeah, we upgraded our washer and dryer over the past 6 months, and I've got a big family, lots of kids at home. My teenagers are constantly doing laundry, and being able to have it to where it'll play an announcement on our Amazon Echoes when the cycle is done so that they can keep the laundry moving.
Wait, your teenagers are doing laundry?
Oh, yeah, you better believe it.
Tell us more.
And to get the notification, you know, either way, knowing that that's getting done has definitely proved valuable. There's one thing I want to follow up on. You mentioned that residents don't necessarily see the wow from the smart thermostats or from the smart door locks. Mm-hmm. I'm curious, and this can go to you or anyone else on the panel, are you seeing any examples of where properties are finding a way to enable a certain feature to try to change that? Because that feels like that's a pretty big investment that you want the consumer to feel like they're getting value from that. Is there something that you can do to kind of help move the needle a little bit on that? Anyone?
So I'll speak not directly towards those applications, but we do have a product that rewards residents using our platform to engage in all this tech, right? So let's say that they rent out the clubhouse. They get a certain number of points. Let's say that they keep their thermostat at a certain level that keeps the costs down for the operator. they get points for that. All of these things are interconnected to treat that resident and really keep that behavior moving of use this app, use this platform, keep that tech alive, right? And those reward points can turn into a Target gift card, or maybe, a night out on Uber Eats, right? And then that is wayfinded all the way through that smart building to their front door. So those types of things kind of keep that cyclical behavior of the resident to keep tech alive.
So kind of either gamification
Yeah,
of
sure.
of those features. I'm trying to think what else. On my smart thermostat, I do have it set up so it's got the geofencing. So I'll get that notification as I'm crossing that threshold to know everything's kicking back up again. Small notifications like that can at least remind the user that, hey, I'm getting value from this, and it is providing a level of convenience in addition to the savings that it might deliver to myself or the operator.
Right.